Hello, my name is Joan Vance, and I am an author of a book called It Had to Be You. And I would like to tell you something interesting facts about myself. I was born in Western Massachusetts, and having had a mother who was emotionally absent, I became lost in the perfect world of 50s television and old movies. I was particularly fond of screwball comedy and would often spend hours in its spell. I had tried several times to write about what I know, but never got past chapter 1. So I decided to write a book in the style of comedy that I came to know and love. The book is romantic, funny, and heartwarming, but sometimes sad with a touch of spiritual wisdom. Each of my 25 chapters is illustrated by Lisa Rochester, which is something that has never been done before in a novel. Lisa and I will be reading some passages from the book in hopes of finding the right literary agent or publisher to help make our dream come true. The story is a simple one about an actress, Joan Dubois, in the 1940s, who loses the love of her life, Johnny Martin, in an automobile accident and becomes bitter and difficult to deal with. The head of her studio, Louis August, owes her a great deal because her hit pictures got his studio out of bankruptcy in the 1930s, so he refuses to give up on her. The first chapter is a flashback to her beloved's funeral, and the second chapter is another flashback to how they met. The story really begins in chapter 3, 6 years after the death of her husband. The plot thickens when a demon from hell tries to pull her away from God, and an angel on assignment from heaven tries to push her in the right direction towards salvation. We are looking for a literary agent or publisher that is interested in new ideas, that likes romantic vintage novels, and is a fan of screwball comedy, which is the style that reigns throughout the book. This passage is from chapter 1, and Joan Dubois, our hero, is at the reception following her husband's funeral. Joan did not know how she was going to get through the day, so she stopped to say a prayer that God would give her the courage to get through it. She was the quintessential hostess all afternoon, fluttering from person to person like a butterfly busily attending to a task. Not one person was left unnoticed, refused to dance, or denied conversation. She was outstanding and wondered, was this her finest performance, or had God bestowed his grace upon her? When the last guest left, Vera and Katie drew her into the living room. The fire crackled amidst the silence of the living room where Joan, Vera, and Katie were huddled together in front of the fire. It cast ominous shadows on the walls of the mansion where they surreptitiously spoke tales of an ill-fated lover. An emptiness had woven itself into the atmosphere of the room, and they all felt saturated with it. The three confidants sat slumped over, listless from the events of the last 4 days, holding hands so tightly like if they were to let go, the room would explode. Joan was numb from the top of her head to the tips of her toes, and there were no words that could bring her comfort. She was the first to break the silence. I don't know how I could have done this without the two of you here with me. When you leave, I won't be able to stand the quiet. Everywhere I turn or look, there's a memory. You know, over the last few days, there would be moments when I would think, this is all just a terrible nightmare. I'm going to wake up screaming and find Johnny lying next to me. Once I even looked at the clock and thought to myself, I better put on a new face. Johnny will be home soon. Then a split second later, reality set in and reminded me that Johnny's not ever coming home again. I've asked God why Johnny's dead, but he doesn't answer me.
You don't have to be alone tonight, Vera said softly. I'm going to stay here with you.
Vera, it's fine. I'll be all right.
I insist. Besides, I work in the evening, so it's no trouble. That goes for me, too, Katie said.
But Katie, Vera's single. You have a family to take care of.
Peter and I talked it over, and he hasn't been alone with the kids for a while. And it's high time that he did. Besides, 24 hours with the little darlings will make him appreciate me more. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you yet because of all the turmoil, but I'm pregnant.
Again?
Vera and Joan said in harmony. That will be your fourth. How many are you planning on having? Vera inquired. I don't know. I love babies so much that by the time one starts to walk and talk, I want another one. Oh, and Joan, Peter and I discussed something else, too.
What's that? Joan inquired.
If it's a boy, we're going to call him Johnny. Not John, Johnny, in memory of your Johnny.
Tears swam down Joan's face, like two skiers down a mountain. Thank you, Katie. Johnny would have loved that. Vera and Joan smothered Katie with a profusion of hugs and kisses, and the girls go upstairs, arms linked in devoted sisterhood. When they enter the bedroom, the first thing that they see is a bottle of champagne chilling in a bucket of ice. Joan rummaged through Johnny's bureau and pulled out 3 of his pajama tops and the girls' change for bed. Dexter, Joan's basset hound, had been sleeping until the ruckus caused him to stir. He is yawning and waddles over to the girls and flops down on his back for a belly rub. The girls all loved Dexter and were happy to accommodate him. Dexter, you miss your daddy, huh? Joan baby talked.
Hey, come to think of it, I haven't seen the old man for a few days, Dexter thought. What gives?
I miss him too, Dexter, Joan said.
I wondered where he went, Dexter thought.
Oh, Dexter, honey, I know you don't understand, but Daddy's in heaven, sweetie. He's not coming back.
Not coming back? Why? Is it something I did? The slippers. It's the slippers! I knew I shouldn't have chewed his new slippers, Dexter thought as he got up, leaned back on his haunches, and began to mope.
Oh, girls, look, Dexter is depressed, Joan said, petting him on the head.
How can you tell? Asked Katie.
The giggles filled the air, and Joan's comportment changed, and she is comforted by being able to laugh again. Let's have some champagne, ladies, Joan said, walking over to the ice bucket. The gold paper covering the cork peeled off easily as Joan's thumb released it from its captor. The atmosphere got brighter as the 3 Conrads sipped their wine and filled the air with their favorite Johnny stories. Their laughter turned to lethargy when the champagne was gone and they all took their place in Joan's enormous bed. Dexter hurled himself onto the bed and took his place at its foot, and it didn't take long until the champagne overtook them and they fell asleep. After the girls fall asleep, Johnny's spirit comes to say goodbye to Joan, which is shown by one of the illustrations. This passage is from the Christmas chapter. All of Joan's friends are going out of town, and she will be alone this Christmas. Nick, Joan's coach, is busily wrapping gifts at Joan's guest cottage. Joan pulled each loop of ribbon like one would pluck the petals from a daisy until they all joined together to form a perfect bow. Her eyes surveyed the empty house, which looked like a picture out of Currier and Ives. Symphonic Christmas carols filled the air, but still she felt lonely and sad. A flicker of red from beneath the tree caught her eye and put a faint but fleeting smile on her face when she realized that the ribbon from Billy's bicycle had fallen and lodged itself between 2 packages. She picked up the reminder of her only joy this time of year, the Christmas party, which had come and gone. After stroking it gently for a moment, she looked up at the tree like it were her tormentor and crushed the big red bow in her hand, then began tearing it apart as if it were the cause of all her trouble. The bitter truth was, if she tore up every bough and pulled down every tree, Christmas would still come and she would still be alone. She felt like some great conspirator had deviously arranged for all her friends and family to be away this year, and the bustle of Christmas just gnawed at her insides like some relentless demon hacking away at her very soul. In contrast, at the cottage, Nick was struggling with paper and ribbon because the end fold of the package he was wrapping began bunching, so like any other red-blooded American man, he just plastered it down with celluloid tape. His hands grabbed onto the package like an artist would pick up a painting after the final brushstroke and walk over to the tree. He stared at the vast array of presents underneath its sprawling branches the way an engineer studies a building under construction. While basking in the glow of his recent good luck and in his own revitalized Christmas spirit, he rearranged the pile of gifts and was able to fit in the last one. The bounty beneath the tree caused the last 6 years of his life to flash before him, from the death of his beloved Maureen to his present good fortune. He was deep in thought when the ringing phone jarred him out of his trance. Here, Joan faces her first empty Christmas, while her nemesis, Nick, faces his first joyous Christmas in 6 years. However, fate, alas, brings the two of them together to share this holy day, and both discover the good in each other. Nick, whose first paycheck does not come until after the holidays, realizes that this bounteous Christmas was only possible because of the Christmas bonus Joan had given him for being part of her household staff. Joan realizes that Nick, who could have deserted her in her loneliness, but instead chooses to include her in his family's festivities. This coming together is the beginning of a romance, which will manifest itself as time goes on. Thank you for listening. Now that you have heard some passages from our book, I would like to tell you what we are looking for in a literary agent or publisher. We want someone who is not afraid of trying a new concept of a fully illustrated novel. Please keep in mind that the 25 color illustrations can be reproduced in black and white. We are open to all American or overseas legitimate agents or publishers. Please, no vanity presses or self-publishing companies. If interested, please write me, Joan Vance, at 104 Ledger Street, Hartford, Connecticut, 06106, or call 860-951-3948.